Oh, okay,
Oh, here we go.
great. All right. I think let's get started.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, wow. We've got more and more people coming on. Okay. So, Sarah, do you want to say anything as the SAC board chair?
Sure.
Well,
Welcome,
be
everybody.
here.
I'm Sarah Armstrong. I'm the chair of Storytelling Association of California, and we're thrilled you are all here. And thank Liz and Andrew tremendously for putting this all together. So welcome.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to kind of be the host for this. I'm Liz Nichols, and I'm a former SAC board member and member and longstanding. And I just do a couple of housekeeping things at the beginning. We are recording this, so please, if you're not speaking, put yourself on mute. Everybody seems, pretty much everyone's done that. And just to say that if you don't want, this will be not just recorded, but it possibly will be put on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know if that's been decided. So if you don't want to be on that, then, turn off your camera. And I also want to apologize for a little bit for the timing of this event, being aware that, which I wasn't when we chose the date, that tonight is the end of Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement, and there's people who wanted to be here, at least that I know of, who are breaking their fast. And I am just, my grandmother would be turning over in her grave, but I am so non-observant that I didn't pay attention to that date. So that's one reason it's great that we're recording this. Okay, thanks to the board. We have the chat. I've opened the chat. I think the chat is available for everyone. I don't know what the rules exactly are, but you can always put questions in the chat. And if you know how to use your raise hand reaction on Zoom, that can also help us when we get to the discussion part. What I thought we'd do is really quickly go around and introduce ourselves by saying our name and the group that we represent, if we do, and maybe one top of mind question or issue that brought you here. And let's keep it to a minute each, and I'm going to actually have my phone making a ding dong noise at a minute at the most, because we've got quite a few people here. So we'll do that. Then I'll turn it over to Andrew Laufer. Thank you so much, Andrew. I just say, the reason we're all here is because I was talking to Ed Lewis from Sacramento Storytelling Guild about their hybrid, because I'm the co-host of Contra Costa Tale Spinners monthly swap group, and about the idea of doing things hybrid. And he said, oh, well, Andrew can certainly answer, I'm sure he'll be happy. He volunteered you, Andrew. And I thought, well, I bet there's other people who would also like to hear what Andrew would tell me. And, let's all get together and hear learn from what the Sacramento Storytelling Guild has been doing, and also share our own, have time at the end after Andrew's made his presentation to share our own experiences or resources that we know about. So we'll go around and introduce ourselves, turn it over to Andrew, and I'll make sure that we have, like, at the minimum 15 minutes. We're supposed to go till 8:30 is when this is scheduled till, to answer questions and idea and share ideas that haven't come up. So that's okay. So I guess I'll just say the top. I've already said who I am and my group. Top of mind for me is actually that our group has just found out we have lost our in-person meeting space of almost 20 years, and we're searching for another one. So for the moment, I think we'll be staying on Zoom until we can find a new one. But we definitely have had people come on Zoom who we'd hate to lose because some of them are in India and New York and places like that. So, okay, I'm going to call on people as I see them. Okay, so Claire Castell, tell us your group and something top of your mind.
Hi, everybody. Claire Castell. I am a storyteller of around 5 years. I tell at Liz's swap, Contra Costa Tail Spinners, and also Marion swap, Delta Word Weavers. And then there's 6 feet apart and better said than done and things afar. So what I am interested in the mechanics of actually filming somebody standing there, yada, 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 and then also making that available to people on the little computer screen. So I know that's very general, and I know it's possible, but I just want specifics.
Great. What a great model, Claire. That was just like a minute. Okay, how about you, Margaret? Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Margaret Brown. I'm one of the people who kind of does the administration stuff at DoTel Story Swap in Sonoma County. And we've been talking a lot about this subject, but we don't really have a very strong technical person. So I've been really curious about this. I wanted to come, saw this. Thank you so much for doing it. And I tried to get some other people, but they were already committed. And so I'm going to be taking a lot of notes. I don't know how much input I have. It's just that we need to know more about how to do this, because as COVID passes or as people get more interested in being in person, but we like Claire said, or Liz, maybe you, but we have people who are coming in from all different parts of the country. And so we don't want to ace them out. So I'm here to learn. Thank you for doing it. And will you record it and post it, please, so that others in our group can go ahead and review it when they have time?
Yes, we are recording in terms of making sure that everyone who's here today gets, maybe Sarah, you can just put in the YouTube channel link for SAC. And all of us should know that because there's amazing stuff there, and just know that if you go there, you'll find it. Okay. How about you, Lori?
Hi, I'm Lori. I'm from South Bay Storytellers and Listeners, and very much like your group, Liz, we do not know where we will be. We have not heard back from the place where we have been telling in person for years and years and years under Joy Swift. And so we really need to know how to keep our group going in every way possible. And so that's basically why I'm here.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah. Changed. How about you, Barry?
I'm just retired from 6 years as president of the Seattle Storytellers Guild. I'm on the board still. I handle the Zoom meetings, and we've been on Zoom since March of 2020. We had one hybrid program this last month, and it went rather well. We had people come in on Zoom, and then we had live people there. And I actually set up a computer with a TV in a corner so the people that were in the meeting could actually walk up and talk to people that were on Zoom, which was pretty nifty. Like I said, I'm up in Seattle. We're interested in, of course, moving more into hybrid, but for the moment, we're staying on Zoom. So I can commiserate with those of you that are struggling with venues and other issues. And I'm also on my tablet, so it's a little bit awkward. My wife's upstairs on my main computer.
Okay.
Join the club.
Great, great. So you and Andrew can commiserate there. Okay, how about you, Melissa?
So I guess I'm currently with the Linda Wall Story Swap that was moved into, well, officially Belden Village, but it's a little bit of a challenge because most of the people in the group want to come to a meeting in the evening, and the people that live at Belden Village are asleep by that time. But we have people from India and from the East Coast, and so we'll probably stay on Zoom a while. But I think this hybrid application applies to storytelling in many venues, and I wanted to learn how to do it. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, Melissa. And am I right that that is kind of the new incarnation of what used to be Mixed Bag in Berkeley?
Yeah,
So
that
some of us may recognize that name, you know, who've been getting Storyline for as long as Storyline's probably been in existence, right? Mixed Bag's got to be one of the first ones here in the Bay Area, Northern California. Okay.
yeah, they had to
thank you.
move from there, and then they found Belden Village, but we may have to move from there too. So we'll
Mhm.
see.
Yeah. So a theme is emerging here, aside from the hybrid, this other issue of where to meet. How about you, Chris?
I'm with,
What's your last name, Chris?
my name is Chris Lindstrom, and I'm with the South Bay Storytellers and Listeners. Basically, I have been very impressed with I've been to an event in Sacramento because I have family in the area, and I've been very impressed with how vibrant their organization has become using the hybrid model. And I thought I'd just come and learn so that I would be in a position to help if our group has the opportunity to do it.
Thank you. Okay. How about you, Marion?
Okay, I'm Marion from Delta Word Weavers. I have two different audiences because I lost members when we went on Zoom. In addition to two died. That can't help that one, but there's others who don't have a computer who were at the library. We were meeting at the library before COVID. So I did acquire an audience there of like 10 people or so to come. It was a nice small group, but not all of them transferred to Zoom for just different reasons. As I said, some of them are don't feel comfortable on the tech part with their own computers, so they just don't come. I keep inviting them, but they don't come. Then I have essentially a new combination audience of a few regular, Delta Word Weavers. And is that enough?
You know, you've given us you've brought up an issue that no one, I bet a lot of us have, and none have quite articulated. So that's great for a starter, and then we'll have more conversation later. Thank you for doing that, Marion.
People, so I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. How about Karen? And then we have Dawn, and then it'll be time to turn it over to Andrew.
Hi, everybody.
Karen.
I'm Karen Golden. I am from Community Storytellers in Los Angeles, Southern California. And I'm here not because of Community Storytellers. Our group is very happy being on Zoom, and no one wants to go back into being in person. No one wants to battle the traffic here. Everyone is really happy that they don't have to drive and park. So so far it's going great. But I'm here because I'm a professional storyteller and have been for about 33 years. And I have a new one-woman show that has premiered online, and I'm going to be starting to do it in person hopefully soon. And I'd like to know what is the best format for doing an in-person hybrid show so people can view my in-person show at home, but that people at home can feel just as comfortable as those who are in person. So that I would like to know about where the camera could be put, how to include an audience from both places so that everybody feels like they're part of it. And that's what I'm most interested in knowing.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, Dawn.
There we go. I'm from South Bay Storytellers, and I'm interested in filming and lighting and how to have audience engagement and all that, and how to do it in person while filming. I think it'd be good to have some things for record of what was done and something like that.
Wow. So 3 of you are here from South Bay, and I think that's a good message to the rest of us. And you're of different ages, if I may say. Also, that a team is probably, so I hope, Andrew, you'll talk about who's, not just the equipment, but the human equipment, the human team that helps make it work. Okay, so let's turn it over to Andrew, and thank you so much, Andrew.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, and I do apologize for not having everything organized. It just blew up today. So I thank you all for coming here. It's a delight to be able to share my very minimal skills. We're going to talk about the minimum basic equipment that you're going to need to do a hybrid program. I'm with the Sacramento Storytellers Guild. I am now the president of the guild, and have been for a couple of years now. And we're moving forward. I appreciate the comment being a vibrant organization. Having a Zoom, a hybrid program has really made a difference for us. We're also including 2 poets for each program that we have. We generally have 6 tellers and 2 poets, and that's made a difference too. It's changed our audience a little bit. We're getting a younger audience to come in, newer people are coming in, and it's just been very, very exciting to see how things go. We started on Zoom back when COVID started, so everybody was in our own home, and we just, basically taught ourselves how to use Zoom. And about 6 months ago, when COVID started to slow down a little bit, we were bold enough to, go ahead and start meeting in person. Now, our original place of meeting was at a place called Eschaton. It's basically a place for elderly living, transitional living. And they booted us out with COVID. They just said it's too risky for our elderly population to have someone, a lot of people coming in. And so we couldn't go there anymore. And so I had a relationship with the Sacramento Poetry Center here in Sacramento. And we were talking, in fact, one of our board members, Angela James, is also a board member on the Sacramento Poetry Center. And they have a facility that they weren't using at all because of COVID. And so they offered us one Saturday a month, to use their facility for free. And so it's great. It's not, a high-tech facility. It's not the best place in the world, but it'll seat up to 30 people comfortably. And the air conditioning isn't very good and the heat isn't very good. But, we wear a coat and have a fan, and depending, we make do. So anyway, they offered to let us use their facility. And so that is number one. You have to have an audience if you're going to do a hybrid program. And so we are able to have a live audience. And what every storyteller loves an audience, right? So that's at 1719 25th Street in Sacramento. Anybody's welcome to come. It's always on the 3rd Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. So while we were doing Zoom only, we got new members from all over the country and all over the world. Not a whole lot of members, but we have 2 members out of India, and we have 1 out of Chicago. We have 1 on the East Coast. And so we wanted to honor their membership by continuing to offer Zoom and the live in-person shows as well. There have been a number of people who were longtime members who have not come back to the in-person programs, but they have participated in Zoom. I can tell you, we've had up to 50 people combined with the live audience and Zoom audience at our shows, which is really great. We didn't have 50 people coming to our programs before COVID, so it's been really nice. And I also will tell you that we've expanded our membership since doing the hybrid program. We get at least 1 or 2 members every single month that sign up because they get so excited with they're so entertained with what's going on in our program. So let me just go over the equipment, the minimal equipment that you might need. I know someone mentioned cameras. Now it would be great to have more than 1 camera, the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. But what I have is a simple webcam. And this is it's called a Nexigo, Nexigo webcam. It's 1080 pixels, full HD webcam. And it also has a microphone in it, which has a bit of there's a bit of a challenge with that, in that the camera has to be placed close enough to the teller to pick up the sound. In that regard, it might be nice to have an extra microphone, and it would be great to have a mixer, but we don't have a mixer either. So minimum, you need a webcam. The webcam, I have a tripod right here, and it expands, and it goes up to nearly 5 feet high. So the tripod is set pretty much in front of the teller, which means that we have to have a cable long enough for the webcam to get to the computer that you're using. So I've got a laptop. We're using Joyce Orman's laptop every single week. Thankfully, she always shows up, so we always get to use her laptop. I just got another laptop today, or recently, that I'll be able to use as well, that we'll be able to call the organization's laptop. So that's nice. So now we have a TV monitor as well. The Sacramento Poetry Center has a TV monitor that they let us use.
How long is that cable? You mentioned briefly about the cable, but
Okay, so so first of all, I have the webcam cable, which is about 6 feet long, but I had to go out and buy another one. It's just a 12-foot USB 2.0 extension cable.
USB 2.0 extension. Okay.
Cable. It's 12 foot. And so it goes from the webcam cable to the computer. So I can set it up. That gives me a little more flexibility on where I can place the camera. So we've been placing the camera directly in front of the teller. Up until recently, I've been putting it a little bit more to the side, which is nice because then the people in the audience don't have to look around the camera, and it gives you a different angle, and you can the teller can once in a while glance at the camera as if the camera is a real person, and so the audience gets the feeling that they're being spoken to. I mean, the Zoom audience gets the feeling that they're getting told to as well. So that's nice. Now,
Andrew, I just want to jump in and point and make sure everybody notices that Sarah has been putting some of this, the specs and the names of what Andrew's been saying. She's been putting them in the chat.
Great,
And
thank you,
we
Sarah. I
can-
appreciate that. Now, what I also have is what you also need, because I'm using a TV monitor, I've got to hook the monitor up with the laptop. And in that case, you need an HDMI cable. Basically, the ends look exactly the same. One goes into the computer, one goes into the TV, into HDMI 1 port. And so you're essentially, what people are seeing is what you're seeing on your computer, if you're the host. Go ahead, Liz.
So Andrew, are you saying that you need to have a facility or a room that has a TV?
Yeah, you do want you want a television monitor. Yeah, if your audience is going,
Because that's a biggie. That's a biggie,
It is a biggie because we invite people to tell who are on Zoom, and the person who's on Zoom is on the TV because you spotlight them. And so their whole face comes on Zoom, and then the audience there at the facility can see them. So not only is the Zoom audience watching tellers who are telling live, but the live audience is watching tellers who are telling via Zoom. So that's why
Could
you
you
really,
theoretically use a laptop for that if you had a small
sure.
in-person audience, or no? Claire
If you
is,
had five,
I'm saying.
yeah, if you had 5 or 6 people, I'm
Go.
sorry. If you had 5 or 6 people in a big laptop, it would work okay. But if you have, I mean, we had, I don't know, 20 something people last month, and a little laptop just won't do it.
Now, I wonder if, I mean, especially for people who might be meeting in, shall we say, non-standard places that wouldn't have a TV. A number of years ago, I bought a small projector. I guess it would use for like people who were in small work meetings and stuff. And you can
Yeah.
project it against a wall or a sheet. You'd have to
Yeah.
do some work to figure out how to hook your computer up to it, but that might be an option because you can just project anywhere.
Yeah, we did that as well. Our very first time we did it. And, our my technical abilities at that time weren't that great, and didn't work out too well, but we finally did figure out how to, it all depends on this HDMI cable. And really, we were trying to hook up too many things at the same time, and all we needed was this one little cable, and that took care of everything. So yeah, we actually did have, Ed Lewis bought a nice little projector, and that will work fine for the audience too. So great point, Carol. Chris, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So HDMI cable. Now the TV monitor that we have has pretty good speakers, so everybody can hear the people who are telling via Zoom or doing their poetry via Zoom. We can hear them pretty well. It's not a big deal. I do have one person who's visually impaired, and he's blind actually, and he needs to come on by the phone. And so if he wants to tell, and so I have to basically hook him up with my cell phone, and I plug in a couple of speakers into this, and then he can tell a story with the speakers that I have set up by the television as well. Okay.
He can't join Zoom with his phone.
It's too difficult for him. Well, you know what? Now that I have my own Zoom account, we were using the SAC account, and there's a lot of numbers to it, and it wasn't working out. But now we have our own Zoom account. Now I have just a finite set of numbers, so he probably will be able to now join us via Zoom or on his phone. But we just haven't worked that out yet because it's too new. Every time it's new, almost every week we learn something new. Let's see. You'll want to have some tape to tape the cables down onto the floor so people don't trip over them. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about some of the drawbacks. Now, when I'm using the camera and I'm hooked up to the computer that I've started the Zoom program with, everybody can see what I can see on the computer. So when somebody makes a comment to me, I can't respond to them, because if I respond to them, everybody's going to see my response. And so what I'm recommending is to have a minimum of 2 computers if you can. And also, if you have 2 computers, it'd be nice to have 2 technical people. Unfortunately, I'm usually the only person that has the technical expertise to do this. But I was going to try to show you that tonight, is to hook up this second laptop and hook up mine so that you would be able to tell the difference. So what I would do is I'd hook up the second laptop to the TV monitor, highlight that one so that everybody would see that monitor only, and they wouldn't see mine as the host. And that would make a real positive difference in how we're presenting the program. So regarding cameras, I don't know if you've probably all gone to concerts where you've seen they have mixers set up. So some electronic guru is over there working with mixers, and a lot of times it has to do with sound. I think you could probably have them, and they're not that expensive, but if you ever do buy one, you can actually buy one and hook up different cameras as well. So I would love to have a camera that just looked at the audience, because now what I'm doing is basically at the end of the program, I'm turning the camera around so that the people on Zoom can see the audience talking and mingling and whatever, and it gives them a sense that they're there as well. But in the meantime, with the camera, the camera is usually just pointed directly at the person who is telling the story. When the person is on Zoom who's telling the story, I just spotlight them, so it doesn't matter where the camera is anymore. Their picture comes up on the TV screen, and they chit chat and talk. Now it's fun. I don't mute the audience ever, because for me it's great feedback to have audience laughter and reaction, when something's fun going on in the story or the poetry or whatever. So let me see, is there anything else that I wanted to point out? So really, these are the basic minimums that you want to have. I like the side view. What was happening before last month was that the host would stand up, they would introduce the teller would then walk over to where the host was, and the host would leave. And then the teller would stand in front of the camera and tell their story. Well, last month, the hostess, she has some problems getting around. She had mobility issues. So she didn't want to get up and move all the time. So she just sat there, and the teller came up and sat next to her and told her story. And it was kind of fun, because then you got to see the reaction of the host while the teller was telling their story. And there was plenty of room in the camera screen for that to happen. But the audience there, the live audience, didn't have an issue with it at all. And the Zoom audience, I got no complaints from the Zoom audience about what they were seeing. In fact,
I was in the Zoom audience. It was cute. It was sweet. I mean, she's so great.
Yes.
She's so personable and
Yeah,
warm and everything.
So you're just using the one webcam, and your webcam has a microphone built in.
Correct.
If you had you find that's the microphone in the webcam is powerful enough to pick up your speaker.
Yes, it is, if it's close enough. And typically the camera is about 4 feet in front of the speaker, 4 feet away.
Okay, so that's not even that close, really.
No, not that bad. Yeah, I mean, it's far enough to where you can you get like the belly button up, so you can get the hand movement and things like that. And even actually they can walk 3 or 4 feet either way if they wanted to. That's another good reason to have tape, so you can mark the spot where they stand and mark the edges of the camera where they can walk back and forth if they want to move. And that's important for some tellers. They need to be able to move and express themselves with their bodies. Yeah, I do remember seeing you there, actually. I'm so glad you got to come. Yeah, that was fun. Let's see. I don't know. Are there any questions? Anybody have any other questions?
This is Clara. A nice diagram would be nice. I know you're impeded with your current computer situation, but I'm trying to draw the webcam and then the USB and the 12-foot and the TV monitor and then where I get really lost is the second computer. So
it sounded like you just had the second computer, which could even just be an extra laptop. It's just joined to Zoom as a regular person and probably muted. And then basically people can just walk up to it during the breaks and talk to other people and stuff.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea too. Good point. I think Barry was making that point earlier, but he had a TV monitor. But yeah, you could do that. So the second computer is actually completely separate. There's no connection. So Claire, if you have your computer in the middle of the piece of paper, you have one cable going to the TV monitor, one cable going to the camera, and then one cable. Well, you're plugging in the computer to the wall if you want to, if you don't have enough battery. Really, that's that's pretty much it. Unless you have somebody with visual impairment, then you have to use your phone and plug it in there. So pretty
So
simple.
sounds like what you guys are saying is the second laptop is just like a pretend person, a pretend entity that has logged in,
Yep,
who has
that's right.
business separate from what's going on with the administration.
That's right.
Yeah, it seems like it's just for socialization. So that may or may not apply to your show, Claire, but it would definitely apply to a story swap, right? Because people might want to socialize in the break.
Yeah, but it's also for spotlighting if I don't want people to see what I'm looking at on as the host, then to have that second laptop over there would be nice to have. It provides a little more freedom for the host to type in stuff and look for things and where that all that wouldn't show up on the second screen. I mean, the second computer. So yes, actually, yeah. So I take it back, Claire. If you do have a second computer, that's the computer that's going to be hooked up to the TV.
Oh,
Yeah. But the camera is not hooked up to the TV at all. That's only hooked up to the primary host's computer. If you were going to do it. So I can certainly, I'm happy to talk with anybody on, one-on-one, separate, to kind of go over that. And I can share, if you want to send me an email, I could try to do it graphically for you.
yeah. Can you put your email address in the chat?
I'll let somebody else do that for me because I don't know how to work on this thing, but it's dadlaufer, DADLAUFER at gmail.com.
It
What-
sounds like the most complicated piece is really just the fact that every laptop is different and every monitor is different. And you got to figure out which cables you need. So
Yeah.
probably the critical thing is just doing a practice run with whatever equipment you're going to use.
Exactly. And another point I wanted to make is that I'm always there. Our program doesn't start till 2. I'm there at 12 o'clock. I'm there setting things up. I'm getting the computers, set up, hooked up, everything, making sure it's going. So by 1:30, I'm logging in to make sure it all works. And boy, has that been important because we've had some technical difficulties we had to work through and just barely got going by 2 o'clock. So it is real important to go early and make sure everything's working well. We have actually the other thing about the facility we have is that they have Wi-Fi. So we're very, very fortunate in that respect as well. They didn't have Wi-Fi, we'd have some problems. So you don't want to forget about that.
I see Karen's hand is up. Why don't you
So
unmute?
I'm still a little lost on the second computer. So I'm back there with you, Claire, and that second computer. So this is my question. So yesterday, so I'm Jewish, and I went to a lot of Zoom Yom Kippur services in the last couple days. One of the good things about being on Zoom is you get to Zoom to services everywhere. I was even in Argentina on a Zoom service. It was amazing. But
Yeah.
the services that I thought were the most engaging to me as a Zoomer at home were services where they had a camera that showed the rabbi and the musicians close up. And then there was another camera that showed farther away so you could see the whole audience. And then there was another one that had another angle that sort of showed the side. So what my question is, when you say that you need a mixer, what exactly does that mean, a mixer? To
Yeah,
mix
so
the cameras?
again, that was only a kind of an aside. The minimum you need is the webcam. It's only one camera, the tripod and so on. That's the minimum. But when you start getting into multiple cameras and multiple microphones,
Uh-huh.
then you need to have some sort of switch. And that's what a mixer is. It's simply a box that allows you to switch from one camera to another or from one microphone to another. That's all it is.
It's
And
just
you
called
have,
it's just called like a computer mixer. Is that what the thing is called?
I can't, not computer mixer. It's a sound mixer, I think, or media mixer, something like that. But we don't have one of those. All we have is like the minimum. We don't even have a second computer. not yet. I mean, I
Because
just got one.
I'm thinking if you had a second computer that was also connected up to a micro or to a webcam, you could have one webcam close up and one webcam far away, and the person who's the host could spotlight the close up and spotlight the far away, and that could sort of give the same
Yeah,
idea as a mixer, right? You could have like
yeah,
two camera views.
yeah. You probably could do that.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't see why not.
I
Yeah,
see that
good idea.
Dawn has her hand up.
I was wondering about multi-camera and multi-microphone as well. But my microphone can't do a sound mixer because it just doesn't have a way in. I got something that can do something like it if you set it up, but I don't know how to work it all yet. But that can do some, camera 1, camera 2, and some sounds and things, but you have to set it up. I haven't quite got it yet.
Yeah, right. And that probably, well, that got probably less than $100.
Yeah, that was about less than 100.
Yeah.
But I figured that was a interesting way to play with trying to figure out how to do it, because when I looked up the sound mixer, that was something I couldn't do. When I looked up the video and sound mixers, I'm not sure I could do it, and I wasn't sure at what point I could do it, and that was a recommended. So I'm hoping I can get it to work.
Yeah, so we don't even have an extra microphone just yet. They've been bugging me to go buy one. I just haven't had the time to do it. And so having an extra microphone would free up a little bit. You could place the camera a little bit further away. I don't like the idea of having a microphone in front of the teller necessarily, although it works out well for story. What is that on HBO? I mean on PBS.
The Moth and Stories from the Stage.
Stories from the Stage. Yeah, they actually do have a microphone in front of their face, but it works out okay for them. So.
This one was a Stream Deck.
Okay.
The thing, are you saying, Dawn, that what you held up was something called a Stream Deck?
Yes. So
If you would be able to put that in the chat, any, specifics about
Sure,
what it is, that would be great.
I'll do that.
And I wanted to ask whether Karen or anyone else here saw that NSN, the ProSig, just a couple weeks ago or a week ago or two, they did a workshop on how to do a good virtual event that I wonder whether, and it sounded, because it's the ProSig, meaning the profession, people who produce
I could speak to that.
events, that might have, I don't know if it was recorded or anything, but that might,
Hello,
yeah,
Go ahead, Barry.
I'm part of ProSig,
yeah.
and it was recorded, and we're trying to get it set up so that people can view the recording on YouTube. Unfortunately, they still, when you try and register for the event, it says the event is ended. But we're working on that. And if you keep up on our Facebook page, Producers Special Interest Group has a Facebook page. We'll have information on how to get to that. It was a very excellent panel. They covered a lot of good issues, and then they had a good workshop that followed. If you go to the page, I think you'll see an advertisement for it. It's called Virtually Connected, was the program.
Thank you, Barry. Maybe, is it even those of us who are not members of the ProSig could access that?
Well, yeah, it's going to be available, we hope, to everybody.
Oh,
They were kind of
that's such
slow
a
at getting it
service.
going. They did charge a very nominal fee. It was like $10 for ProSig members, $20 for non-members, and they're trying to set it up so people can pay. But I've already got the link for the video. It is available, at least to us at the moment. So, but yeah, I would really encourage you to watch this. If you're much interested, there was a very excellent section on doing hybrid stuff.
It's called ProSig.
Yeah, it's Producers Special Interest Group for NSN.
National Storytelling Network.
Yeah, if you go to the National Storytelling page, storynet.org, you'll get to their page for proceeding, but you want to really go to the Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search for Producers Special Interest Group, and I think you'll find us.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a member of NSN, so.
Another thing that we're working on is we're doing a manual on producing, and it'll be available as an ebook. We hope sometime in the next few months. There will be section in there also on virtual programming.
Oh, that'd be great. It'd be really good. So the limitation now, of course, is, we were all broke. We don't have a lot of money. We are actually being quite bold and planning a Sacramento Valley Storytelling Festival that's going to happen next May. But we're doing fundraising to try to get enough money to put it on. But we really need some extra money for some equipment and so on. Our membership is only $15 a year, so that's hardly enough to do much with, but it's a little bit. Yeah. And
I think it just shows how, I mean, the fact that you've been able to build this vibrant program with just the minimum. I mean, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing more, but it shows that you can get a lot of bang with just a little buck, just at the minimum starting out.
Yeah, that's true. We have a lot of very committed members, of course. They've been members since 1980 something, some of them. And they're just so committed, and it's really refreshing, and it's great bunch of people to be with and work with. Anyway, I think that really is the minimum about what you need to run a hybrid program. I welcome any of you to come on to the hybrid program. If you want the flyer for October 15th, send me an email. I'll send it to you. We have like 6 tellers and 2 poets that are going to be there. One of the poets will be in person, one will be by Zoom. We have a teller from the East Coast, will be via Zoom, and then the rest of us, I think, will be in person. But yeah, come on and check us out at 2 o'clock. It's a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon, an hour and a half or so.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I think there may still be other questions, but also if, just like we've been doing, like sharing the other resources and information that each of us has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy to take any other questions. So this little tripod, it goes, I can make it go, turn it this way or that way or up and down. It goes a little higher, a little lower. It's a pretty handy little tripod. And this again, this is all equipment I've had in the closet for a long time. Anyway.
Dawn has her hand up. I see.
As far as lighting and things, this may just be me, but how do you keep the lighting? I've been trying to figure out how far away to get the lighting from me without making me seasick. I'm better with lighting, but as soon as I turn it on, I get seasick, even if it's peripherally and I'm not looking at it.
Yeah. Our facility doesn't use lighting at all. It has the overhead lights and that's it. It's got a few windows, but so we don't have special lights at all, and it's just not necessary. The walls are white, and they're they clearly refract the light quite nicely. We're lucky in that. Yeah, it is nice. It's a little. The only distraction is sometimes there are shadows on the back wall. A car goes by or something like that, and it can be a little distracting, but it's not too bad.
I think one of the things that's coming up is the difference between doing this because you're having a swap and the point is the community and the informal sharing. And some things that will work for that are different than what might work when you're putting on more of a show.
Yeah, do you want to?
And we've got people, it's great that we have people who are thinking about a lot of different
If you want to
types
do a
of
production,
storytelling in a hybrid way. And
right. I mean, it's
that's
great.
much.
It's great to get out there and spread the word, spread the storytelling vibe. Um, if you want to do a professional job, like 6 Feet Apart Productions does, then that's a whole new ball game there. Then you've got fancier equipment, and you do have the special lighting and all that kind of stuff to think about. And in fact, with the big event we're going to do, the Sacramento Valley Storytelling Festival, I want to be able to get better equipment for that, because we want to record it, and we want to, offer it to people. If they can't make it, at least they can still pay for the program. And then we can let them see it, send them a link and let them see it. So
You
all
know-
that kind of thing we have to work out.
Sorry,
Go
it
ahead.
would be nice to have a follow-up meeting with 6 Feet Apart folks, or better said than done, who really have the whole YouTube alternative. And I mean, I know baby steps, but it would be, and I'm sure they would help us, spend an hour with us, but
That would be nice. I'd go.
I wanted to particularly, if Barry, if you're still here, you're the only person other than Andrew, I think, maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but who said you've done a hybrid event and that it went well. And is there anything else you'd like to, the tips
Well,
you'd like to share, do's, don'ts?
yeah, I could share a little bit about it. One thing
We'd
we
appreciate
used
it.
a church. It's surprising how most churches are probably on the cutting edge on developing live Zoom programming, because it was the way they kept their congregations going. Many of them had to be on Zoom for a couple of years as well. And what they do is they have their Zoom audience and a regular audience, and then oftentimes the recordings go on to YouTube, and a lot of people watch them afterwards, which is really a good way to do it. But that helped us a lot, because they've had better facility, cameras, things like that they could work out. Microphones, you can get wireless mics. I recommend that you have a somewhat professional mic. It can be really helpful to do that. I would also say that one thing, what we were using a projector, which enabled us to project people that were the Zoom thing for everybody on the wall. That worked pretty good. And I think as far as texts are concerned, you need at least two, maybe three, one to monitor the computer, one to maybe watch the Zoom thing to maintain, the security and other aspects of that. And possibly if you're live streaming to like YouTube or to Facebook and the like, you can interact with the people that are on those in their chat, which is helpful, because that way they feel more a part of it. Another thing I did is, when I was up in the front, I had my tablet in front of me open to the Zoom window, so I could see the people that were virtually there as well as the regular audience. And I was able to greet people by name and other things, which makes them feel a lot more a part of the whole thing. As far as cameras are concerned, I've heard people use their cell phones very effectively. The main thing is you want to make sure you have a charger or some kind of power supply to it, so that you don't run out of juice halfway through the program. But they make very simple tripod mountings, or I have for example, is one of these sticks, that's got a tripod base and so you can hook up a camera, use your cell phone as a camera, and that works. But like I say, check, if you're looking for do a program, look into churches as possible venue. They usually have tech people that know what they're doing and will help you a lot. And it's probably worth a little bit of the expense if you want to produce a really good program.
It's Good idea. I hadn't thought about churches.
Dawn has put in the chat the name of the mic, Yeti Blue. Yeah, I have a friend who's gotten one of those. That
I use a
that
Tonor.
Dawn has used. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you, Barry.
Yeah, great information.
I think another theme that's coming out is finding the right venue, finding the venue that has putting your time and effort into that, might be really worthwhile.
Yeah, I can see us trying to find someplace new. It all depends. I've been thinking about, well, pretty soon we're going to go out doing some fundraising to different organizations. And I'm thinking maybe developing relationships with them, they might be able to provide, an ongoing venue as well. That's a little more comfortable. I mean, I love the Sacramento Poetry Center, and I love having the poets there, two of them, come in and kind of break things up.
Yeah, that venue is very bohemian. It's very, I understand it's not entirely comfortable, but it does have a nice creative vibe.
It sure does. Yeah, it really does.
Hey, I've got a lead on a new venue in Berkeley, just an FYI, because I don't think it's going to matter much to this audience, but Ben Tucker, the storyteller, has found a place that's like 30 people. It's called the Monkey House, and it's right on University near Sacramento. And he wants to get a storytelling thing going there. So just a FYI, if you know if somebody wants to be involved or interested, or I know it's too far, Liz, probably for our problem in Contra Costa. Yeah, the Monkey House, I know, right? So it's a little bit of underground venue, but it's
Has music and stuff too, right?
yeah.
So that's a whole other music venues, like community music venues could be good. Anybody else have found a type of a venue that they want to share about?
Do people sometimes use private homes, or is that like out of the question for the standards?
I know, like, I lived in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years, and they have the Voices in the Glen is the name of their storytelling guild. And they do something interesting. I'll just share this. DC is kind of like the Bay Area, where we have San Francisco and the East Bay and the South Bay and the North Bay. And there's bridges and there's, bodies of water, and people don't want to cross them, right? And it's hard. And it may be 15 miles, but it's an hour and a half, it's really is a problem. And they have that in DC. They have Virginia, Maryland, and the district. And what they would do, and it was, they would rotate in people's houses. So they didn't have their story swap meant once a month, but 1 month in Virginia, in someone's house, 1 month in, Maryland, and 1 month in DC. And I did speak, Jane Dorfman, if any of you have like connected with her through all the Zooming, because, I just saw her on Assist's Zoom, Sheila Arnold's wonderful Zoom, if anybody's doing that. Jane said that she was, I think it was in her house or something, and she used her own TV, and they were able to do hybrid. But here in the Bay Area, I'm not aware of any swaps that meet in homes.
Doesn't Ed's before COVID, just before COVID, I went to one in Berkeley with Ed.
Oh, you're right. Sing, Say, and Play.
That guy, yeah.
Yes, that does meet in homes. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if they're doing it since COVID, but
I think they're on. Yeah, I don't know. And those are probably for smaller groups. So anybody meet in homes? Or think that might work for them?
Well, the price might be right.
Good point.
Yeah, I'd be pretty tight fit, 25 people in my house. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'd have to get it by my wife too, and I don't think that would work out very well.
Parking also, you know, depending on where you live is of course
Yeah.
can be an issue. I wanted to bring up something slightly different as a sort of solution to something a bunch of us have expressed. And I'm really curious of how anybody else who has a swap would feel about it, which is thank you, Andrew and Barry and everyone for making doing hybrid feel more doable. However, you know, it still sounds challenging, right? Especially a lot of us are, you know, of an older generation and we don't have, you know, maybe the expertise. And so, and yet we have these people who we've come to know and appreciate and who come from distant places and are now part of our communities. And it struck me what I sort of thought, well, maybe our swap could like once a quarter do a Zoom, you know, go back in person because there's lots of people who are dying to go back in person. Now, this was before we lost our venue, but, you know, let's say we have that venue. But then at least every quarter, go on Zoom so that, and really try to make sure that those wonderful people who, you know, I don't know whether they'd continue to come, but has anybody else thought of that kind of idea of, you know, you could even do it every other month or, you know, I just wondered whether anybody is considering that kind of thing.
Well, we've thought about not doing our Zoom program, and we've gotten objections from our membership because the thing is, consistency is kind of like everything. And if they know what to expect Saturday of every month, they know what's going to happen, then they can put it on their calendar and it's just easier for them to think about it or not think about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do work in the tech world, but setup and AV is not something I enjoy doing. But I think that you shouldn't be intimidated, especially because as long as you don't have a due date, like you can just start playing with the equipment in your home. And you know, like a lot of it is just like maybe you go get the wrong cable and you realize it's the wrong cable and you're like, well, next time I go to the store, I'll get the right cable or I'll order it, right? So if you give yourself kind of a lead time and you just play with it in your home, I think you'll find that it'll be set up sooner than you know, as long as you don't have like, you know, like it has to be done in half an hour. I think if you just give yourself a low expectation and just start playing with it, I think that it sounds like it's not actually that hard to do if you give yourself a little bit of time.
Yeah. No, once you have it figured out, like Claire said, if you have the diagram in your mind, it's pretty easy as long as everything's working.
Because, you know, even if you didn't have the TV, right, like you and a buddy could get on a Zoom call and you could set up that web camera and just then you'd understand how it connects to your Zoom meeting and what it looked like on the screen. And then you'd go to your facility and you'd like, you know, figure out what cables you needed to do. So I think like if you just took it in steps, I think that like it'd be pretty doable to do as long as you didn't like, you know, give yourself, you know, only a half an hour or something.
Good advice.
Marion? We can't hear you, Marion. Zoom.
I knew why. Okay, Delta Word Weavers, yeah, is in this pickle because I've got people who said, when are you going to come back live? They haven't seen it. Okay, so I got both audiences waiting. So I've thought like you, like, oh, in the new year, maybe once a quarter, we will meet at the library. I was actually thinking of keeping on Zoom more, but then go to the library once a quarter. I don't know how I would, I feel like I'd have to advertise it extra to my home people, I'll call them. And I'm not in a position to do a Zoom meeting from the library room, so I wouldn't have the Zoom listeners that month. I'm like you, I'm just brainstorming. What are my options? Because I have people who want to come both ways.
Do you have, if the library has Wi-Fi, you should be able to Zoom it too.
And who's gonna run it? I mean, if I'm doing all the MC, I just can't do all of the jobs.
Right.
There's too many, and I don't have good tech. I don't have tech people.
Yeah, right, me neither.
I wonder if we should be trying to connect with like schools, like, I don't know if there are students who would, wanna
That's a good
help
idea.
us, like, I'm,
Yeah, well, okay, when I really think about it, like just now, I had a new idea. Jackie, a great librarian who's so supportive, she'd probably find me a teenager who would come special to the library, not to do stories, but to be my tech. That would be so important to him or her. Yeah, she's such a supportive librarian. I've never asked her, I could just start the conversation. You know somebody? And I'll bet she'd say yes. I had never thought of that before.
Nice.
Dawn.
I was thinking in terms of asking schools, because I think some of them have gone to like telling the announcements on video rather than to doing it over the PA. I think the asking of the library sounds like an excellent idea, but there might be a video class or something at the school to ask there as well. Because I think if you film the meetings, you could always broadcast it after it was filmed, or you could do them both at once if it was posted when you did it. But,
They might consider it a nice opportunity, a student might consider that something that they can put on their resume.
Yeah, or a yearly internship or special project or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
All right, well, I gotta go. I was going to do up a flow chart and I'm going to share with some of you for feedback. So that would, and I'm kind of that kind of visual person. And if you can help me with that, with my ideas, that would be great.
Okay.
I was, maybe we could stop the recording, but then people could put their emails in the chat, and then I would encourage everyone to save the chat before we close the meeting. But we don't want our emails at all out there on YouTube, but how would that be? Anybody who wants to get this
So if we
follow-up
continue
flow
a
chart.
conversation on email, that'd be great.
Yeah, Melissa?
Shall I stop recording?
What do you think? Shall we stop recording or, okay. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. This is awesome. Woo! Yay, SAC.
Okay, Chris,
And Barry, wonderful to have you from Seattle joining us, and Karen from LA, and yeah.
okay, Chris, I don't know how to save the chat. So if you could save the chat and email it to me, I would appreciate it.
Oh, I've never done that
Okay,
either.
so Andrew, why don't you stop the recording?
Oh, there's a little button. I found it.
It's still recording, I believe.
Yeah, it